Hello, I'm nobody special. I'm Bishop James Heiser's assistant, so I'll be reading Mihail Mateev's paper for you. Somebody wave if you can't hear me. Mihail Mateev will be presenting on the limits of human domain from a Christian perspective. This paper states Christian religion is unique amongst others, making a clear distinction between God's kingdom, which is spiritual, and the material world, which is given to God's deputy, mankind. Also, ancient Greek religion is pointed to as the true source of reluctance towards space exploration, which reluctance is considered by some to be truly Christian. This work refutes the above said notation with quotations from the Christian holy book, the Bible. An attempt is made in this essay to show that human dominion is over the whole material universe, not just the planet Earth, and to address the fears some people have when thinking of human settlement on another planet, considering such a settlement as reaching out of the divine dwellings of the heavens, as not in accordance with the Bible. The creation of the universe. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Genesis 1:1. Matthew Henry, in his commentary on the whole Bible from 1708, comments here that we have a description of the whole material universe. The heavens and the earth, that is the world, including the whole frame and furniture of the universe, the world and all things therein. The world is a great house consisting of upper and lower stories, the structure stately and magnificent, uniform and convenient, and every room well and wisely furnished. It is that visible part of the creation that Moses here designs and account for. Therefore, he mentions not the creation of angels. He continues, "But as the earth has not only its surface adorned with grass and flowers, but also its bowels enriched with metals and precious stones, which partake more of its solid nature and more valuable through the creation of them, though the creation of them is not mentioned here. So the heavens are not only beautiful to our eye, with glorious lamps which garnish its outside, of whose creation we here read, but they are within replenished with glorious beings out of our sight, more celestial and more surpassing them in worth and excellency, than all the gold or sapphires surpass the lilies of the field." It is good to note that in the last quote, beings is indicative of heavenly bodies, not extraterrestrial life. He goes on, "Here is the work of creation in its embryo, where we have an account of the first matter and of the first mover. A chaos was the first matter. It is here called the earth, though the earth properly taken was not made till the third day, because it did most resemble that which afterwards was called earth, mere earth, destitute of its ornaments. Such a heavy, unwieldy mass was it. It was also called the deep, both for its vastness and because the waters which were afterwards separated from the earth and were now mixed with it. This immense mass of water was it out of which all bodies, even the firmament and visible heavens themselves, were afterwards produced by the power of the eternal Word." It is very important to note that this Christian minister represents the thinking of historical Christianity. 1. The material universe is created by God. 2. All material things of the universe have the same origin, the initial chaos of matter, which was created by God and from which they were made by His Word. 3. Earth has used in two senses, to depict the initial chaotic matter from which originated everything in the universe, and secondly, the planet Earth, where later were created all living beings, as was the final divine act, mankind, represented by a man and a woman, in the image and likeness of God. So God commanded man, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." Some Christians call this the dominion mandate. The great discussion among space enthusiast Christians is whether humanity is entitled to have dominion over all the universe, or over only the planet Earth. Let's consider related verses in Genesis in regards to the sky and heavenly bodies. "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven that divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night. And God set them in the and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day." The Bible speaks in categories, especially in the first Genesis chapter. While the general purpose of sun, moon, and stars, for the ancients, all of the lights in the sky are stars, it is to give light to show seasons, days, and years. Some bodies, like asteroids, comets, and planets, definitely are not stars. The same way as metal ores are not mentioned in Genesis 1:28, but they fall into the dominion mandate, the planets also are not mentioned as a separate category. But they do exist, and they can have an additional purpose, separate from that of showing time, namely, to be explored and exploited by man. The creation of Adam we see in Genesis 2:7. And Jehovah God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Just before expelling the man and the woman from the garden, God said to Adam, "Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth thee, and thou shalt eat of the herb of the field. And the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread till thou returnest from the ground, for out of it thou wast taken. For dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return." Was only the ground cursed, or instead is ground, although here it is used in a narrow sense, a category for the whole material creation? In Romans 8:19 through 22, we read the creation is expecting its redemption from human sin by Christ. "For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself shall also be delivered from the bondage of corruption, into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now." Matthew Henry comments in these verses about how the whole universe became cursed. By the creature here we understand not as some Gentiles do the world, and their expectation of Christ and the gospel, which is an exposition very foreign and forced, but the whole frame of nature, especially that of this lower world, the whole creation, the composite of inanimate and sensible creatures, which, because of their harmony and mutual dependence, and because they constitute and make up one world, are spoken of in the singular number as the creature. The sense of the apostle in these very 4 verses we may take in the following observation: that there is a present vanity to which the creature by reason of the sin of man is made subject. When man sinned, the ground was cursed for man's sake, and with it all the creatures, especially this lower world where our acquaintance lies, became subject to that curse, became mutable and mortal. Under the bondage of corruption, there is an impurity, deformity, and infirmity, which the creature has contracted by the fall of man. This creation is sullied and stained, much of the beauty of the world gone. There is an enmity of one creature to another. They are all subject to continual alteration and decay of the individuals, liable to the strokes of God's judgment upon man. When the world was drowned, and almost all creatures in it, surely then it was subject to vanity indeed. The whole species of creatures designed for, and is hastening to, a total dissolution by fire. And it is not the least part of their vanity and bondage that they are used, or abused rather, by men as instruments of sin. When the creatures are made the food and fuel of our lust, they are subject to vanity. They are captivated by the law of sin, and this not willingly, not of their own choice. All the creatures desire for their own perfection and consummation. When they are made instruments of sin, it is not willingly. Or they are thus captivated, not for any sin of their own which they have committed, but for man's sin, by reason of him who hath subjected the same. Adam did it meritoriously, the creatures being delivered to him, when he by sin delivered himself. He delivered them likewise into the bondage of corruption. God did it judicially. He passed the sentence upon the creatures for the sin of men, by which they became subject, and this yoke they bear in hope that it will not be so always. So, if the sin of man has effect on the whole creation, this would mean the whole material creation, animate and inanimate, is under man's jurisdiction, thus subject under the dominion mandate to subdue and multiply there, so to explore and exploit. God's kingdom. To remove from man the presumption of the divine dwelling nature of the universe, especially extraterrestrial material bodies, and the fear of approaching such bodies, let us consider Jesus' words, God is a spirit, and his answer to Pilate's question about whether he is the king of the Jews. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from hence. God is not a material being, he is a spirit. Therefore the dwelling of God is not material, and it does not belong to the material world. Ancient Greek myth. Ancient Greeks believed their gods, championed by Zeus, dwelt on the physical Mount Olympus in Greece. Perhaps this ancient religion, because of its worship and of its gods, is the source of reluctance regarding space exploration. In Greek mythology, Olympus was the home of the 12 Olympian gods of the ancient Greek world. In myth, Olympus formed after the gods defeated the Titans in the Titan War. and soon the place is inhabited by the gods. It is the setting of many Greek mythical stories. The 12 Olympian gods lived in the gorges where there were also their palaces. Pantheon, today Myticus, was their meeting place and the theater of their stormy discussions. The throne of Zeus, today Stephani, hosted solely him, the leader of the gods. The belief that the gods dwell in the material world was so great in the minds of the ancient Greeks that they were even afraid to look on the sacred mountains, and climbing them was completely out of consideration. Therefore, they only viewed them reverently from a distance. Because of this profound influence the mount had in the lives of ancient Greeks, the whole surrounding area took on enormous significance. Every day, people felt intimidated to even look up at its summit. Ancient Greeks believed their gods' dwellings were a material place, part of the material universe. Therefore, in their religion, the universe was divided into two realms, the realm of gods and the realm of men, and the realm of gods was a forbidden place for men to go. Let us not be like the ancient Greeks, to be afraid due to misunderstanding of the Holy Scriptures, to only observe from vast distances, and to be afraid to approach other places, planets, and galaxies. In conclusion, Christianity has never considered God's dwelling as a part of the material world. Superstitious fears of entering forbidden zones in the material universe belong to pagan myths. Therefore, there are no theological objections from the Christian perspective of human exploration into the material universe, and therefore there can be no such objection to the exploration of Mars. Thank you. And I regret to say that I'm not able to take questions because I only helped to make this into English. So thank you very much for listening.